Hi, my name is Gracie Gardner, and for my service learning component that I did this semester for nonprofit organization, I worked with CASA of Ellis County. And so that is kind of what today's slideshow is going to be over and just the work that I did with them. So the first thing is, who is CASA? So CASA is a nonprofit organization that is located in Ellis County who help children that have been abused, abandoned, or neglected. When a child enters the foster care system due to their home no longer being safe, a judge can appoint a committed volunteer to help them. These volunteers are known as court-appointed special advocates, or CASA for short. On this next slide, I just put a couple of different pictures of kind of what CASA is. So over here, I put the CASA logo, and then right next to it, that picture that's in the middle that's kind of bigger with the house is actually the old house that they used to work in here in Ellis County. And then right above it in the smaller picture, you can see another gray house, and that's actually the new house that they had built. That way they could move there because the other one was just pretty old, and so they wanted something that was a little bit renovated and had some more space for the kiddos. And then right next to the picture of the house is the lady in blue is actually Kim Garlitz. She's the executive director for CASA, and I was able to work with her and communicate with her this semester while volunteering for them. The picture where you can see that they are in a courtroom is a couple of the other CASA volunteers. They are actually the advocates that are for the children. So most of the time they'll go in and speak for the children if they were working closely with them, and they're just there to essentially advocate for them. And then in the bottom right, I put a picture of a little girl that is in the courtroom. A lot of the times, the children do have to go to court, and so I kind of wanted to incorporate that for you guys to see. So on this next slide, it is the mission statement for CASA, and I got it directly from their website, and it says, CASA of Ellis County will foster guardian ad litem volunteers to protect the best interests of abused and neglected children and to advocate in the court system for family reunification or placement in an environment that is safe, nurturing, and permanent. On the next slide, I included the CASA vision statement. This is also from their website as well. And it says that CASA of Ellis County is a nonprofit, tax-exempt organization dedicated to improving the lives of abused and neglected children in our county. CASA recruits, trains, and supervises volunteers who are selected to act as court-appointed special advocates, or CASA for short, to be a voice for the child in court. CASA of Ellis County is part of a nationwide organization of court-appointed special advocates with 955 programs and 75,000 volunteers nationwide. So for the next part of this slide, I did the 3 best practices that I chose. The first one is going to be code of ethics. The second one is volunteer practices / policies. And then the third one is board member responsibilities. So, code of ethics. According to the Standards for Excellence, or SFX for short, there has been an overall decrease in trust between the public and nonprofit sectors. 73% of donors say that is important to trust a charity before making donations, and by establishing a code of ethics, you are able to set a tone internally and externally, provide a sense of security to the donors, and then also help shape the ethical culture of the organization. So applying that for the work that I did at CASA, you could tell that they were able to follow this by having mission-driven work. So their activities were aligning with their mission, that is to serve abused and neglected children. They also showcase transparency and integrity. They have honest reporting, truthful communication, and accurate representation. The next point is going to be volunteer and staff ethics. They have a pretty rigorous training process. There's a lot of confidentiality involved, and then they also displayed professionalism, and boundaries. And then the next thing is the conflict of interest policy. This is a written policy and disclosure to help ensure protection for the children and the volunteers. The next slide is going to be over volunteer practices and policies. So, according to the SFX, volunteer policies help with volunteer management by guiding, directing, and clarifying an organization's relations with its volunteers. It's also important that before a volunteer program within an organization, the nonprofit has a clear mission, vision, and background. Nonprofits also need to have policies and procedures in place to address initial assessments and screenings, so like background checks, assignments for training and work responsibilities, and ongoing supervision and meaningful evaluation. So, applying that to CASA, they do have pretty clear roles and responsibilities. They have defined written position descriptions that you can see on their website. And then they also have defined duties for the advocates posted on their website as well. They also adhere to this by having an extensive screening and selection. So they do background checks, interviews, and then they also do reference checks to ensure safety. Another one is going to be comprehensive training. So you do have initial training provided by the CASA of Ellis County program. This is going to have 30 hours of initial training plus 3 hours of courtroom observation and 12 hours of continuing education. And then the last slide or the last point is going to be supervision and support. So the staff helps to provide case guidance, resources, and regular feedback. The next thing is going to be board member responsibilities. So, according to the SFX board member responsibilities, it is important that the board is composed of individuals who are personally committed to the mission of the organization. The primary role of a nonprofit board is to help provide governance to the organization, so establishing structure, policies, and plans that are essentially going to help the organization fulfill their mission. And then board members should actively meet at least 4 times a year in order to help conduct business with the organization, and meetings should be efficient, effective, and engaging. So applying that to CASA, the first thing was the legal and ethical oversight. The members of CASA uphold fiduciary duties, follow the laws, and avoid conflicts of interest. The second point is going to be fundraising and advocacy. The board participates in fundraising like their Bling Bling Bash that they do, public relations, and community engagement. The third point is financial responsibility. So the board at CASA reviews their budgets, ensures financial integrity, and also approves audits. And then the last point is going to be strategic direction. This is the board sets goals, approves major policies, and guides long-term planning. So the next slide is going to be the recommendations for the best practices. So for code of ethics, I think that they could have like a monthly ethics scenario. So spending just a few minutes during team or board meetings to help review a real hypothetical ethical scenario. And then also having annual ethics training. So hosting a workshop for the staff and the volunteers to help focus on new challenges and applying that ethical decision making. The next thing is going to be for volunteer practices and policies, and that's going to be implementing mentors. So I think it would be beneficial if CASA had mentors that are there for the volunteers so they can help guide and train them, and kind of just have them there as a support system. And then the last thing is going to be for board member responsibilities, and that is reviewing their results annually, and then also having a board development plan. So putting your plans into place based on findings during board meetings, maybe having more trainings, and then also having additional workshops. This last slide is going to be the conclusion. So I believe that CASA of Ellis County demonstrates a strong commitment to ethical governance, volunteer management, and board leadership. Additionally, their alignment with the standards for excellence helps promote transparency, accountability, and impact within child advocacy. I believe that with the ongoing development and reflection of mentorship, ethics training, and board assessments, they are able to strengthen the impact that they bring to the community and to the children at CASA. By continuously evolving, CASA is able to ensure high quality care and advocacy for abused, neglected, or abandoned children and families within the community. All right, and that is all I have for today. Thank you so much.